10 historical things about the ancient Egyptians. 1. The ancient Egyptians were cat crazy. 2. There was a goddess
They
just
did
for
like their
cats.
cats.
3. Egyptians were some of the first people to mummify their dead. 4. Canopic jars were used to store the organs of the dead. 5. The most famous ancient Egyptian in the world is Tutankhamun.
Is it?
6. The Rosetta Stone was the key to understanding
I mean,
hieroglyphs.
that's true. It's mad that we had no idea what Egyptian hieroglyphs said until they found the Rosetta Stone, literally like in the 1800s. And it was only because Napoleon was in Egypt fighting a war and the French soldiers found the Rosetta Stone that was, it was like in the wall. It had been used as like a slab in a wall, and they saw it and were like, hey, there's like 3 different loads of writing on this thing. They have Greek and hieroglyph and I think Arabic. Gosh, check that. And that's the only reason why we could decipher what hieroglyphs mean today, is because they could work out from the other languages that we already knew what that one was saying. But it wasn't completely complete either. There were some bits that were missing, so it did take a long time. But that's mad. We just didn't know what it said until like 1800.
7. The ancient Egyptians invented toothpaste. 8. The Egyptians loved to play board games.
Don't we all?
9. Both men and women wore makeup. 10. Women had the same rights as men.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, I mean, makeup, it's weird. Like, makeup hasn't been like a gendered thing. It was only a very brief, small period of history, like in recent history, that makeup has only been seen as something that female humans can wear. Because in history, Vikings, warriors, warrior paint, just the 17th century courtesan, the men wore more lipstick and rouge and paint and blush and stuff than the girls did. And yeah, it's weird how culture can just kind of change, and it just depends what period of history you're living in, depends on how much makeup you're allowed to wear, which I think is a shame because makeup is fun.
In ancient Egypt, in battle, they would count their number of kills by the penis. In 1182 BC, Libyans and their allies invaded Egypt and were quickly beaten by the army of Ramses. Normally they'd bring back the severed hands of their enemies.
What a job.
But Ramses III was worried that they were bringing back the hands of women as well as, the soldiers in battle, and he thought this was just, not cool. Basically, he thought they were claiming extra credit for extra kills that they weren't getting. So he demanded penises instead. And his victory inscriptions include 12,535.
Where did they put them all? Somewhere in the world there is a grave with a load of willies in.
Foreskins and hands, because you were supposed to take the right hand if they happened to be circumcised.
Well, I didn't know that. That is new information I've learned today.
Lesser known historical facts about random countries, Part 1, Ancient Egypt. In ancient Egyptian culture, cats were considered sacred, so when the Persian Empire was first invading Egypt, they tied cats to their shields to prevent the Egyptians from bringing the smoke, and it worked. Before they could ascend to the afterlife, ancient Egyptian souls had to convince a panel of mind-reading judges that they were totally without sin. If the souls were caught committing even a single sin that they lied about having not committed, the judges would sense their impure hearts and their essence would be devoured. As such, many Egyptians chose to be buried with one of these.
Ooh, talk about scarabs. There is a massive scarab in Karnak Temple in Egypt. It's freaking huge. And the legend was if you walk around it 7 times as a woman, anti-clockwise, you would get pregnant. Not by the scarab. That'd be weird. But yeah, so word of warning to tourists, if you don't want to have a baby, don't walk around with scarab a lot.
A scarab-shaped protection seal, more often than not inscribed with a phrase that roughly translates to, "Do not stand as a witness against me." It was placed in the body within the heart before the mummification process began. With one of these charms alongside their heart, the soul would not be physically able to recall a single sin they committed in life, and the judges would be none the wiser. So for many Egyptians, the only way to get into the afterlife was by placing a bit of jewellery next to your heart that tells yourself not to rat yourself out. And finally, number 3, Queen Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, was born closer to the invention of the iPhone than she was to the construction of the pyramids. And that should put into perspective how incredibly old these things are.
Or even older, as I always say. There's no date on it.